How much of Fortnite creative maps actually making? You look at Fortnite catalog and you can see all these creative maps are getting thousands of players every day. Researched how much they're actually making. So obviously there's no exact figure for this. I used a website called Fortnite GG, which gives a Rust estimate. And I'm going to go through the top ones and tell you how much they've made. But this isn't exactly going to be the top maps of all time. It's just going to be the top maps, the ones that have the most concurrent players at this moment in time. So some maps higher on the list may have made less than the ones that are on the list. Starting off with number 9 is the Pville Box 3v3s. This map right now has around 18,000 players. The peak it had within the last 24 hours is around 24,000, and its all-time peak was a month ago, achieving 31,000. Now, if we look at the amount of money it's making per day right now, makes between around 300 to 1.4k per hour per day. On a weekly basis, shows us here that it's making around 1.5 to about 6k per day, and then per month it's making 3 to 20k per week. And then if we go to all time here, back when it first launched in April, it made between 17 and 65k. And then most recently, within the last 30 days, it's made 166 to 620k. Overall, that has added up to $550,000 to $2 million. In pounds, that's 438,000 and to 1.64 million. Next up at number 8, we have Box PvP by Hive. This is essentially just a regular box fights map with 16 players, play with your mates or on public. So if we look here, right now they have 22,430 players. The peak within the last 24 hours was 34,280. And its all-time peak was a month ago with 130,644 players. If we look here, if we can see, on average, they're making between 480 and 1.8k per hour every day. Then if we go over to the week section, we can see that on average, making around 1.7k to 13.4k per day. Then if we go over to the month section, it's making anywhere between 7.9k and 48.7k per week every month. And then if we go over to all-time stats, as you can see, it was first released in April of 2023 and it started off with making between 58.3k to 218.7k. And then in the last 30 days, it made anywhere between 321k and 1.2 million. Overall, that gives us a total of $1,652,000 to $5 million. And then converting that into pounds, that's 1.3 million to 3.95 million. Coming in at number 7, we have Mini Game Box Fights PvP by DAG. This is like a box PvP map, except you get put into a random different type of game mode, for example like a sniper shootout or explosives only. As we can see, right now it has a player count of 26,259. Its peak 24 hours ago was 43,608, and its all-time peak 13 days ago was 62,742. In the day section we can see on average, it's making between 400 and 2.6k per hour every day. In the week section, we can see that it's making around 2.4 to 19.8k per day every week. In the month section, we can see that it's making around 8.6k to 50k per week every month. If we go to all-time stats, as we can see, this map was only released in November and made 58k to 217k on its first month, and the last 30 days has made 258k to 969k. Overall, that's between 574,000 to 1.18 million. And then if we convert that into pounds, that's 421,000 to 934,000. Next up at number 6, we have Peace Control 2v2, which is a box fights practice map. This map was created by Bullseye, and number of players right now is at 29,522. Its peak in the last 24 hours is 44,462, and then its all-time peak was 1 month ago with 56,183. If we go and look at the day section here, on average, every hour per day, it's making between 577 and 2.5k. If we then go and have a look at the week section, on average, every day per week, it is making between 2.3k to 16k. And then if we look at the month section, on average, every week per month, it is making between 6.2k to 44k. And then if we go over to the overall, we can see this map was released in April of last year and started off by making only 1.9k to 7k, and then the last 30 days has made 275k to 1 million. Overall, it's making between 1.2 million to $3.7 million in total, and then converted into pounds, that's 1 million to 2.9 million. Next, at 5, we have the Pit Free-For-All. This is a map basically drop into a massive pit and just fight and respawn over and over. Right now you'll see that the current players is at 32,911. Its 24-hour peak is 69,366 and its all-time peak was at 87,077. If we go into the day section, it makes between 580 to 4.1k per hour every day. And if we go into the week section, it makes between 2.8k and 25k every day each week. And then if we go into the month section, it makes between 7k and 72k every week per month. Then finally, if we go into the all section, we'll see that this map's been out since April 2023 and started off by making between 240k to 900k in that month. In the last 30 days, it's made between 418k and 1.6 million. Overall, this map's made between $2.6 million and $8.4 million. And then converted into pounds, that's 2.1 million pounds to 6.6 million pounds. Next up at 4, we've got Crazy Red vs Blue by RVB. It's just basically a fighting free-for-all where everyone red side or blue side. Currently has 38,110 players. 24-hour peak is 63,979 and its all-time peak 1 month ago was 83,302. If you go into the day section, it's averaging between 693 and 3.8k per day every hour. And if we go into the week section, it's averaging between 3.4k to 26k every day per week. And then if we go into the month section, it's averaging between 8.2k and 74k every week per month. Then onto the all section, this map has been out since June 2023. Started off by making 20 to 75k, then most recently 474k to 1.8 million. Overall, this map has made $1.9 million to $5.6 million. Then converted into pounds, that's 1.5 million pounds to 4.4 million pounds. Next up at number 3, we have Tilted Zone Wars by a user called Pretty Boy. This map is basically just another Zone Wars map, but instead of just any other map they've made, it's in Tilted. And if we go ahead and look right here, we can see it has a player count right now, 42,481. Its 24-hour peak is 60,057, and its all-time peak was over a month ago at 212,530. If we go into the day section here, we can see it's making anywhere between $700 to 3.5k every hour, and if we go over to the week section here, it's making anywhere between 3.3k to 27k every day. If we go over to the month section here, it's making anywhere between 10k and 84k each week. If we go over to the all-time section, we can see that it's been out since at least April of 2023. First making around 203k to 761k, and then within the last 30 days it made anywhere between 574k to 2.2 million. Now looking at the overall stats that I've worked out, that's between $3.1 million to $9.6 million overall, and then that converted into pounds, this is anywhere between 2.4 million pounds to 7.6 million pounds. Now coming in at number 2, we have Pville Box Fights 2v2. This is the same as one we've already had on the list, but instead of being a 3v3, it's 2v2, and it's just box fights.
by creator we already had before, Pville. As we can see here, has a player count of 47,911 players right now, and its 24-hour peak is 66,774, and its all-time peak was over a month ago at 89,676. If we go over to the day section here, we can see that it's making between 700 and 3.9k every hour each day. If we go over to the week section here, we can see that it's making anywhere between 4k to 28k. Then over to the month section, we can see it's making anywhere between 16.8k to 79k each week every month. If we go to all-time stats, we can see this map's been out since at least April of 2023. Started off by making between 9.2k to 346k, and then the last 30 days anywhere between 514k to 1.9 million. Now if I tell you its overall earnings, it is making between $2.2 million to $6.6 million, and then converting that into pounds, that's between £1.8 million and £5.2 million. Finally coming in at number 1, we have Go Goated Zone Wars by the boy Dilly, and is just a Zone Wars where you're on a team of 3 and last team wins. So if we look here, we can see the players right now is 54,262. Its 24-hour peak is 68,755. Its all-time peak is 95,393. If we go over to the day section here, we can see on average it makes between 900 to 3.7k every hour each day. In the week section here, we can see it makes anywhere between 3.5k to 31k every day each week. On the month section here, we can see it makes anywhere between 10.9 to 84k every week each month. And on the all-time section here, we can see this map has been out since at least April 2023, and started off by making anywhere between 273k to 1 million, and then in the last 30 days, anywhere between 471k to 1.8 million. Now, if we look at the overall earnings, it's between $2.6 million to $8.4 million. Converting that into pounds, that's £2.1 million to £6.6 million. Well, that's the list of the top maps and their earnings. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, in a bit.